Thanks Strong for sponsoring this video.
Alton Brown, probably the godfather of Food Network, at least for me. I watch this guy all the time. Not only does he have a tremendous amount of knowledge, he's funny, he knows what he's talking about. However, he doesn't cook steaks that often. Today, we're gonna see him schooling me on how to cook a steak properly. So let's begin.
You know, friendly food folk often stop me in the street and ask me what my favorite steak is for grilling. They're often shocked, surprised by my reply, for it's not the ribeye nor the strip. It's not the tenderloin or the flank.
It's not? What is it then?
It is the skirt steak.
By the way, that is one of the most popular steaks here in Miami. It has a tremendous amount of flavor. It is an easy steak to grill. And most importantly, it used to be affordable, but it became so popular nowadays that it's ridiculously expensive, everybody. Almost as much as a premium steak.
Part of the diaphragm. That means that it is technically part of the plate subprimal, and it works nonstop.
That's a good point. And the reason he's letting you guys know that is because the more the muscle works, the more flavor he has. However, it lacks on tenderness. But if you cook this one here properly, and most importantly, slice it properly, the tenderness will be there.
Just got these out of the refrigerator. I'm gonna let them sit at room temperature for 60 minutes before introducing them to the heat. That's right, 60 minutes in the bacterial danger zone.
So here's the deal. I'm glad he's talking about that. The danger zone, everybody. I've done so many different experiments on this topic. Leaving your steak outside at room temperature will not rise it to the danger zone unless you surpass 2 to 3 hours. If you leave your steak at room temperature for 60 minutes, it will not reach the danger zone. That's one of the reasons why FDA recommends to leaving your steak at room temperature for no more than 2 hours. Another thing a lot of chefs say is that you want to temper the steak so that it cooks faster and evenly. I've done an experiment on that as well, and at least for me, it doesn't do much. There's not much difference between leaving a steak outside at room temperature to temper to make the steak better. If you have something that is powerful and you're gonna get a nice fast crust quickly, you don't need to leave it outside.
You know what? I'm not worried about bacteria at the surface of the meat for two reasons. For one thing, we're going to sear these steaks with temperatures well in excess of 1,000 degrees, and we're going to brine them. Not, however, in a liquid. We're just going to sprinkle liberally with kosher salt and then wait that 60 minutes. Moisture will be pulled to the surface and will dissolve the salt. And of course, the sum of that is that bacteria don't like salt.
I love it, everybody. This is literally called dry brine. It's one of the techniques I use more often than none. And the reason is because it flavors the steak all the way through. And most importantly, it dry outs the steak as well so that you can get a faster crust.
There. You're going to want to do this if you can on a rack so that room temperature air can move
100% all
around. That's it.
I agree.
Everything. You can see why this might be one of my favorite recipes of all time. There is no recipe.
That's true. So I guess he's trying to show a technique versus a recipe, because only salt on a steak is fantastic. For this specific one here in Miami, a lot of people just like to marinate it. If you're getting a high quality steak from a good source, you don't need to marinate it. Just using salt is good enough. If you want some extra flavor, add a little bit of pepper. If not, salt is good enough. That's how I like to eat picanha.
This is my grill. There are many like it, but this is mine.
This is my grill. There are many like it, but this one is mine. That's well said right there. Before moving forward, I want to thank today's sponsor, Strong. I've been using Strong knives for years, and I absolutely love how reliable they are. Yes, they're beautiful and razor sharp, but good culinary tools are an investment. So lasting quality and reliability are key. Strong makes some of the best knives in the world, but they got much more than that. They also make some of the best barbecue and grilling tools. Pretty much everything you might need for grilling season, you'll find it at Strong. From pitmaster knives to chef or cleaver hybrids to carving knives, you will even find things you didn't even know you needed until now. Like this meat claw, just a better way to shred up meat. Or the meat hammer, a great tool for tenderizing meat. I'm telling you friends, there's a reason why I have so many Strong knives behind me. I'm addicted to them. I want a knife that is gonna last me a lifetime. It's not gonna break the bank. They never let me down. And most importantly, it has to look good, because if it looks good, you're gonna use it more often. Barbecue season is right around the corner, so make sure you go to Strong and get everything you need. So if you're interested, head over to Strong to gear up for grilling season. Thanks Strong for sponsoring this video, but now let's get right back to it.
This is my grill. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My grill is my best friend, and I must master it as I master my life. First things first, get rid of this lid and this cooking grate.
Why are you getting rid of the cooking grate? What?
Just enough charcoal to cover the bottom in a heavy layer.
I'd say I've got probably 1.5 to 2 quarts of natural.
Ooh, see what he did there? That's something I would never do, everybody. He's putting the coals right in the middle of the grate. You know what that means? That you're not gonna have two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is a key of controlling fire. But you gotta remember also, he's just cooking skirt steak. He needs one type of heat, super hot. But still, for good practice, you should always have 2 zones. If you're cooking a Wagyu skirt steak, that thing is gonna flare up like there's no tomorrow. And the last thing we want is for it to burn. So having a 2-zone cooking is a must, in my opinion.
Light it however you want. Me, I'm using this fancy Swedish heat gun called a Luftleiter.
Okay, I've used this thing here before and it works, but it's just not as faster as my flamethrower.
It's not as fun.
Then just evenly distribute across the grate and then lay the meat directly on the coals.
Oh, he's using what we called the caveman technique. Now I have a few issues with this technique. Number one, you cannot use any type of charcoal because if you do, you're gonna be in huge problem. If you're using briquettes, they disintegrate. They produce a tremendous amount of ash, everybody, and all that ash is gonna be going on your steak and it's just not gonna work. If you're using lump, it's okay. But here's what happens when you put the steak directly on the coal. It brings... That was my dryer, by the way. It brings the temperature of the coal down immediately because you're suppressing it from oxygen. Not the best method. But if you ask me if it works, yes, it works.
Yes, some of the charcoal's probably gonna stick. No, that's not a problem. Little ash never hurt anybody. It'll turn into a delicious sauce. Yeah, I mean it.
I want you to notice one thing. Where there is Maillard reaction, these nice golden brown parts, is where the charcoal was not touching and there was air flowing through it. But where the charcoal actually is, it's gray.
Remove the hot meat directly to a large piece of heavy-duty aluminum foil. You're gonna wrap this up into a tight pouch, as airtight as possible because we wanna reserve as much heat as we can.
That is a fantastic technique. I use it quite often because remember, even though you just took it out of the heat, that doesn't mean that it's finished cooking. The residual heat will even everything out. Think about this. Steak has 2 edges, the top and the bottom. You're playing with a tremendous amount of heat and it's all coming down towards the middle. But then you took it off the heat. But these 2 parts right here, still super hot and it needs to even out towards the middle. By covering the whole thing and reserving that heat, you are redistributing that heat properly, cooking the steak all the way through. So I have no doubt that it's going to be perfectly medium rare.
Oh my. Just smell that aroma, will ya? Oh, I'm sorry, you can't smell that, can you? Well, believe me, it smells very, very good indeed. And look, see, most of all those little pieces of ash that had been stuck on here just kind of dissolved into this beautiful little sauce that's gathering there. So let's cut. I'm just gonna move this off.
Let's see how he cuts it. I'm curious.
What I like to do is just stack the meat like this and kind of cut into sections.
Go into 3 sections here. That'll make the pieces
exactly the same way I do it.
But when you're ready to slice, you want to go against the grain so that it will be more tender to...
Take a look at that, everybody. It's nicely medium rare. If you say that that's raw, then I'm so sorry. You do like charcoal with your steak. It is not raw. It's perfectly cooked. Sometimes the lighting acts up and it looks a little bit weird, but I can tell you immediately. However, it could use a better crust for sure. How is it? How is it? That face says it all, everybody. You can't fake that kind of face, you know? It's freaking delicious.
Move all this to a platter and then pour the remaining juices over it and serve it alongside some nice grilled vegetables. Then again, you could just sit here and eat it, which is what I'm going to do.
That was a fantastic demonstration on how to use the caveman technique. It is a good technique if you don't have access to a grill grate, okay? But if you do have your grill grate, use it, everybody. It will be better. But if you're outdoors cooking with over live fire and you go like, man, I have no grill grate, throw that thing on the charcoal and it's gonna be phenomenal because cooking over charcoal is better than any gas grill you might have or even something like a stovetop induction. It will be better than that, I guarantee you. And don't forget, all of my products now exclusively available at your local Walmart. Let me show you the exact locations you can find it in every store. It's going to be right here. They call this area As Seen on TV or Trending Now. We got the one-of-a-kind burger press. You can't find this griddle anywhere because it can be used in any surface. And let's not forget about the marinating kit. And if you want to keep your grill nice and clean, I got you covered. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks Dalstrong for sponsoring this video.
On today's video, we're gonna see how binging with Babish schooled me on cooking better burgers. Now, if you don't know Andrew, he is a YouTube sensation. With his YouTube channel based on TV shows and movie food, he is a hit. Enough talking, here's Babish.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Basics with Babish, where this week we're doing burgers and fries. Do I really have to do like a whole sales pitch? Let's get down to basics.
Alright guys, so the first thing we need to do is start the French fry making process. This means peeling and slicing some potatoes. So we're going to start by peeling the potatoes, duh, and then slicing into planks, and then into almost French.
Thought he was going to cut his finger there for a second, everybody. Oof, scared me a little bit. Make sure you always put your fingers backwards and don't hold it like that, because I'll tell you one thing. I've chopped my fingers a few times. Be careful, everybody. Safety is always #1 priority.
Then we're immediately dropping these bad boys into some 375° Fahrenheit peanut oil. That is my deep frying oil of choice if you have an allergy to peanuts, dry canola, or vegetable. You might be saying now, hey Babish, those fries aren't done. To which I would respond, I know, and that's not my real name. What we're doing is freezing the fries after par frying. This is going to crystallize their interiors and make them extra fluffy after a second fry.
I'm the type of person that thinks that if you make French fries at home, you're completely wasting your time. Because I'll tell you one thing, getting the frozen bag, which is already kind of pre-cooked for you, has almost no difference. And sometimes it's even better to get those than you starting from scratch. Because if you refry them, it's gonna be crispier. But maybe that's just me. Let me know if you agree.
While those guys are freezing for at least 4 hours, it's time to address maybe one of the top 2 most important parts of burger and fries, the burger. I've got my preferred selection of meats here for grinding. I've got short rib, brisket, and sirloin.
That is a beautiful combination because every single one of those cuts has flavor. Short rib also has incredible marbling, and the brisket, we all know that's why we love it in barbecue, everybody. But it is a very tough cut. That's why we cook it slowly. But when you combine it with burgers, grinding everything up, it's just top notch.
They're all bringing something different to the table, be it fattiness, minerality, or beefiness. And they're going to come together to make a really flavorful, fatty, beautiful burger. First thing we got to do is get rid of the bone in the short rib. If you have a bone-in short rib, best to buy these boneless because you're going to get more meat and you have to do less butchery. Once you've removed the bone, trim off any silver skin that you see because this stuff will not break down. It'll be chewy bits in your burger and you don't want that. And then start cutting it into 1-inch strips that we're going to then cut crosswise into about 1 to 2 inch chunks, which will be perfect for our meat grinder.
That is a great tip right there, because before I used to make just long strips to go ahead and grind my meat and it would get stuck. The 1 inch to 2 inches cube is perfect for the grinder.
On the brisket, this is nothing but fat. We can hang on to all this. As long as your knife cuts relatively easily through it.
Wait, did he say that's nothing but fat? There's not a lot of fat there.
Now there is some silver skin hiding in the middle of our sirloin. So we're going to pull it apart at the seam to reveal the dastardly little devil hiding inside.
You definitely want to remove as much silver skin as you possibly can, because what will happen is that is going to get stuck on your grinder, everybody, and it's a nightmare. Remove the silver skin.
It's time to place all this on a parchment-lined baking sheet and freeze for 15 to 20 minutes to firm up the meat for the meat grinder.
You definitely want to put it in the freezer, because if you don't, your meat will start smearing when you're grinding it. It's not going to give the same texture, and a lot of times it just becomes a paste. But I also noticed that on his tray there was not a lot of fat, everybody, and whenever you make burgers you gotta have more fat, man. More fat, more flavor.
During which time we can get our burger accoutrement ready.
What did he say?
During which time we can get our burger accoutrement ready.
Accoutrement? Accoutrement? I gotta go back to English lessons, everybody. I don't even know what that means.
Very thinly slice some tomatoes. I like them about 1/4 of the width of a sheet of paper, and a few slices of...
I don't like how he's chopping up the vegetables. He makes me scared. See how his fingers are just like that? That's just an accident waiting to happen. It happened to me. I'm telling you. Grab it like this, not like this, like this.
Last but not least, some iceberg lettuce. This is the only kind of lettuce that belongs on a burger because it is nearly flavorless. We're going to simply shred it by cutting it in half, removing removing the core and then cutting into thin slices down the length of the lettuce half, and then cutting crosswise into perfect little burger-sized shreds.
I can tell you immediately, if I start doing a burger like this for my nephew Angel, he's not gonna eat it, everybody. And we all know why. Oh, my friend. Oh, my friend. Oh, you are eating vegetables. Yes, you are.
And that's what I like to top a burger with. Put whatever you want on there, but I reserve the right to judge you. Like if you didn't put special sauce on there, I'd think that you were a real, true weirdo. And special sauce is simple enough to make. Simply mix together equal parts ketchup and mayo, maybe half cup each. Add a good sprinkling of garlic powder and onion powder. Then I like to add a little bit of smoked paprika, but you could use regular paprika if you don't want too much of a smoky vibe going on. A heaping helping of sweet relish, and that's about it. Just mix the whole thing together. Even if you just mix together equal parts ketchup and mayo, it's a delicious sauce to put on a burger.
I agree 100%. Always make your sauce ahead of time. Burger sauce, besides just putting ketchup and mustard and mayo by itself, I would have put a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in there as well. Making your own sauce takes your burger to a whole nother level.
Give it a little taste, make sure it's good, of course it is. And then it's time to get down to the business of meat grinding. Now, I've had my grinder parts chilling in the freezer with the meat for a little bit longer, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, to make sure everything's really super cold. This prevents the beef from smearing when we push it through the feed hole. That's what it is called. You can see that our beef is all firmed up after about 20 minutes in the freezer, and avoiding the spinning wheel of death on the bottom of our stand mixer, we're going to start feeding the beef into the grinder.
Oh man, the KitchenAid. I started using the KitchenAid when I started grinding my own meat, everybody. But I'll tell you one thing, it is not powerful enough. Nowadays they have a very inexpensive machines where you can get it in Amazon. You can also, if you're trying to save space and not buy an extra machine, just use a food processor. And if you really want to get inexpensive with it, just use a cleaver and cut everything down, everybody. A cleaver will actually do a much better job than the KitchenAid. But before moving forward, I want to thank today's sponsor, Strong. Throughout my YouTube career, I have sliced through thousands of steaks. All that slicing requires a super sharp and reliable knife. That's why I always turn to Strong Shogun Series knives. An elite professional knife series built to be put to work all day long. But this is a lot more than a workhorse. It's a warhorse. I use this slicer knife every single day, and it's still in excellent condition. No matter the protein, this blade cuts through it like butter. Plus, the Shogun series is huge, more than 60 knife shapes, and available in as many as 9 different handle colors. With all the videos and crazy experiments I do, I need a knife I can trust. A knife that can cut through steaks, brisket, or whatever else craziness I'm making, like it was a sheet of paper. And for that reason, I like to use Strong. It is my knives of choice for years, and I use it every single day. If you guys are interested, check them out on the link in the description down below. So thanks Strong for sponsoring this video, but now let's get right back to it.
A few pieces at a time, pushing the beef down the tube with whatever included baseball bat or nightstick the grinder came with, and watch the meat cascade gleefully out the medium-sized grind plate, which I think is the best size for ground beef for burgers. Make sure there's no gray stuff coming out, which might indicate that your grinder is grinding metal.
Great information. If you see any black stuff coming out, any great stuff coming out from your grinder, stop immediately and assess the situation, because that can be a variety of things. That is a great tip. Take it seriously.
And take a moment to appreciate the beautiful pebbly ground beef that you're able to achieve when you grind your own meat at home.
It's only missing a little bit more fat. I would add more.
So now we're going to start gently pressing these into 4.5 to 5 ounce patties. I'm going for a solid 3rd pounder burger, but make them as thick as you want. It's your house.
So I like the way that he formed his patty. He didn't compress them too much. If you compress them too much, it doesn't become soft and tender when you take bites and the texture completely change. Just make sure whenever you're forming your burger, you don't overdo it and pack them up. You want the inside of the burgers to have crevices so that the fat can melt and baste it in its own juices.
Once we've got the burgers formed, they can chill out in the fridge while we finish up our fries. We've got the oil reheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and we've got our rock solid fries out the freezer and into the oil. The initial fry was for about 8 minutes. This is going to be from 4 to 6 minutes.
Gotta take the fryer out, gotta deal with the oil, gotta deal with all of that, and in the end, the results is not better than the ones that you buy from the frozen aisle, everybody. It is just not better. It's not worth it.
As soon as you've let these guys drain for 30 seconds to 1 minute, we're going to put them immediately into a bowl and toss them with a healthy sprinkle of kosher salt. Go ahead and taste one to make sure that it's not poison. Maybe 2 just to be extra safe.
It's not poison.
Let's move over back to the patties, whom are receiving a generous sprinkling of kosher salt and freshly ground pepper. Do not ever salt your burgers before you form the patties. Please don't ever let me catch you doing this. Now, one of the most important things you guys know that I love to do and that you should do for every burger that you ever make is toast your buns in some butter, please.
Yep,
I'm
100%.
sorry I'm being so emphatic right now, but these things are important. Get a nice golden toast going on in there, add some vegetable oil to your cast iron skillet, and get that guy ripping hot.
So he just add the oil and nothing else. So what I like to do whenever I cook anything on my cast iron skillet, not only do I put the oil, but I also move the oil around and let it get it super hot. Always preheat your cast iron very well.
Let this sit over medium-high heat for a solid 3 to 4 minutes until a beautiful crust has formed on one side and you can see a little bit of cooked brownness creeping up the side of the patty.
I would have used a little bit more oil in order to fry up and get a nice even brownness.
Some American cheese. Hate on American cheese all you like, it is the best cheese for burgers.
I agree, everybody. American cheese is the best. Call it plastic, call it processed cheese, call it whatever you want. But on a burger, it's just perfect.
Then we're going to add about a tablespoon of water and cover the burger, allowing the cheese to melt and helping the burger cook more evenly. I mean, come on, look at that. Use an instant read thermometer to determine if you've cooked your burger to your desired degree of doneness. And
Great
it's
tip.
time to plate up. Onto a waiting bed of lettuce, we're going to deposit our patty. Always best to put the lettuce underneath the burger as this helps prevent the lettuce from wilting. And then top with our tomato, onion, special sauce, the top of the bun, bottom of the bun if you want to be extra special. Top the whole thing up and serve along with your Frenched fries. And there you have it, one very serious homemade burger and fries. Now it's time, of course, for the requisite cross-section. I'm going to show you 3 levels of acceptable doneness. Let's start with medium. That's where you're taking the burger off the heat at about 135 degrees Fahrenheit, letting it rest until it hits maybe 140.
If you grind your own meat, having it medium or medium rare is totally okay. But if you're buying it from the grocery store already pre-grounded, make sure you cook it to well done.
Then for slightly braver souls, there's rare, where we're taking it off at 120.
By the way, a rare burger is just not good for me. It doesn't taste well. The texture is just mushy. I much rather medium rare or medium.
And then the sweet spot, medium rare, 125 to 130 degrees, tender, juicy, delicious. If you're freaking out about beef cooked below USDA recommended doneness temperatures, you have much less to worry about if you're grinding your own beef at home. So give it a shot. Whatever minor risks there are outweighed by the importance of enjoying a really delicious burger.
Those are fantastic tips. I think that he should not make the fries at home. I also think that if you put all those vegetables, my nephew Andrew is not gonna eat it. And besides that, the most important thing here that I would have done differently is the amount of fat. You need fat on a burger. You're not gonna eat a burger every single day, and if you do, you're kind of nuts. Whenever you're gonna eat it, make sure it's extremely juicy, and the best way to make a juicy burger is to have more fat. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see me and Andrew collaborate together. Brother, let's make it happen. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks Cooking Fever for sponsoring this video.
What's up, everybody? Today I got my good friend here, Ahmad from the Golden Balance. How did the Golden Balance came along?
My last name means the golden in Arabic, and I've been trying to find balance my whole life. So
Haven't we all?
we haven't found it.
Are you ready?
I am.
This is going to be a good one because he's a beast.
He's a beast, but he seems like a good guy because he's always giving out food to people. So I like him.
And he's always smiling,
Yes.
always happy. All right, let's watch.
He does the stuff that Nick does. He just never looks at the food.
Yo, Nick, why do you always look only at the camera, huh? I think he's trying to be Guga Foods. Huh?
What,
With
like
the
a flame?
fire.
Yeah.
He's all about the B-roll, everybody. And what do you think that is, lamb or beef?
Most likely lamb.
Lamb?
Yeah, in Turkey, most likely lamb. Onions, carrots, celery.
But the amount. You're not going to go hungry after you eat this one, everybody, huh? Okay, he wins.
It's like this is like giving Middle Eastern fried rice.
Yeah, if you had the rice, that's it. It's all over for me.
He's putting carbs into more carbs. It doesn't get better than that.
Not only that, that looks so delicious. If there's one person that said that they will not eat that, there has to be vegan.
Every time he does something, it's big and grand, which I think is cool. I don't mind it because he's feeding people. It's not going to waste. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I respect that quite a bit.
Like he's still smiling, not looking at the food.
He's always smiling.
But he's a cutie. I like it.
He's like one of those guys that you watch and then you want to go give a big hug.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, he's good vibes.
So you know what that is that he's doing? It's kind of like the shank towards the end. There's a steak in Brazil that we call the capitão, which is like a Tom and Jerry steak. This is kind of tough, so I'm curious to see how he's gonna cook it. Yeah. Yo, that looks so good.
I feel like the sear is pretty average.
No, there's no sear whatsoever because he's basically boiling it in butter.
A lot of times when I go to the Middle East, that's what it lacks. A little bit of the technique of just like searing off the meat. But it looks great.
Damn.
He's making a steak sandwich.
What the hell is that? Like, where did that come from? I thought it was a dish. Now it's a burger. Like you said, not the best here.
Again, this is more of stuff food. Probably wouldn't eat this compared to the last dish.
No, I think I would take the last dish probably. That's stunt food.
Yeah, because no one can wrap their mouth around that. And to be honest, it looks dry.
Yeah.
It really does.
No, 100%. So this is like the capitão steak, like I told you. I've cooked that before.
It's hard.
It's not the best, everybody, but I will say it's cool to cook.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I see a couple skewers of kebab on the side.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
This already looks good.
Are you a fan of eggplant?
I love eggplant.
I only like it
eggplant.
in baba ganoush. That's it for me. Nothing else is okay. Not even, how do you call the one with the rat?
Ratatouille.
Yeah, you like that?
Ratatouille, I think, is the most overrated dish in history.
You need to leave.
What did he add? Was that cheese?
That was cheese.
Cheese? Damn, that's gonna be good.
That looks really good. That texture, like, is giving me like Korean corn dog a little bit. That looks really good to me.
Oh, he wins.
Yeah.
Again.
So bread, eggplant spread with cheese, meat. That's what I'm assuming. This is.
I could be without the eggplant though.
I think you're a hater.
Really?
Yeah. So he got a whole like leg of lamb. I don't even know what that is. That looks like a cow, maybe.
Are you crazy? What kind of lamb do you have?
That's what I'm saying. It's a cow.
What kind of a lamb you have in Michigan, bro? You have a lamb like that?
That's a lamb shank.
Yo, that lamb is has been eating very well.
But that's a lamb shank, right? That does not look like a cow.
Yeah, it does.
You think that's a beef shank?
I think so. That's no way that's lamb, bro. Are you crazy?
That's a
no
cow.
Way.
He's
deep
frying it? I think so. He's deep frying it in tallow. That looks good.
It looks big though. I can guarantee you the meat's still completely raw. Oh no, he cooked it first.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he slow cooked it.
Is that rice?
I'm not sure, but that looks really good. I
No,
love ketchup. He ruined it.
Why
He
he put
ruined
the
it.
ketchup in there?
I love ketchup, but he just ruined it.
Trying to show that it's nice and tender, but it's not that juicy.
I don't think you deep fried a whole beef shank for the crust. I don't know. I feel like that's a waste of time. The chicken looks really good.
Not gonna lie, I will eat that.
Yeah,
you give that to me, I'll eat it, even with the ketchup.
I just don't like when the ketchup gets drizzled like that.
No, I don't like
It's just
ketchup.
so unappetizing.
Do you like ketchup?
I love ketchup,
No,
but
I
not
don't
like that.
ketchup. The only time I eat ketchup is with popcorn.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing.
No, you're trolling.
It's a thing in Brazil.
Guga, cut the whole fucking video.
No,
Take
I'm
that
serious.
back.
No, it's good. Today's sponsor is Cooking Fever, the world's largest cooking-themed mobile game. You can become a master chef by cooking delicious meals and desserts from all over the world. The game has over 30 unique restaurants from various topics and cuisines, each with a unique game mechanic, so it's never boring. Today, like every day, I got the Cooking Fever, baby. Now the game is opening the newest location, TGI Fridays Restaurant. With Cooking Fever, I can run my own restaurant and practice my skills in a variety of settings settings and cooking techniques as I progress through the game. As I complete levels, I receive coins and can upgrade my restaurant and try all the cool kitchen appliances. Check it out. And the best part is that I can play Cooking Fever everywhere. This game is fun, challenging, perfectly relaxing, and free. Click the link in my description box or use the QR code here to download Cooking Fever straight to your phone right now. So what are you waiting for? Manage your own TGI Fridays restaurant in Cooking Fever? Check it out here and let me know what you think. Let's check out this TGI Fridays menu. Oh, this looks good. I'm kind of craving a snack like some of their delicious fries. I'm thinking I'm going to cook this in-game and in real life. To start playing Cooking Fever, which I highly recommend, click the link on the description below or scan the QR code here. Thanks for the inspiration and fun, Cooking Fever. Check them out, guys, because now let's get right back to it.
All right off the bat, you know what that is?
This is a stomach?
Stomach lining.
Yeah. Is he gonna make kokoresh? You know what is kokoresh?
Yes.
I had it in Turkey. Bro.
That looks like how beef Wellington should look.
Say that again. Hey, say that again.
That is exactly how they do it. Then they finish it off on like a griddle.
You have to understand that all that fat and like that butteriness has been getting seeped into the meat for so long, and there's so much flavor there, even though it looks bland, but it's really good.
No. But not that size, obviously. Normal. You know, he's making it for a
place where people are definitely in need of food.
100%.
And I appreciate this.
100. This is
baseline. This is good vibes.
Yes.
Whatever.
That's it.
Yes.
Freshly baked like that.
That looks amazing.
Wow, everybody. I had that when I was in Turkey.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What do you call this? Doner, or do you call it?
In Turkey, it's doner, but it's shawarma.
Shawarma, right?
But most of Middle Eastern foods are stem from Turkey. They're the OGs. That looks... Yeah, that's making me hungry.
I will eat that, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can eat the whole sandwich, but I will try.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
Is that French fries?
Hell yeah!
He's making a sandwich, a big shawarma.
That sandwich is not fat-free, baby.
And the ratio of meat to bread is a W.
Amazing. Can we give him a big hand? This is a 10 out of 10. We'll definitely recommend. Some was stunt food, but a lot of them were just like, I will eat every single one of them. Yeah. Guys, make sure you go give some love to my friend Ahmad. The link will be in the description. Thanks for being here, brother.
Appreciate you, Guga.
I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Bye-bye. Thanks, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this video. On today's video, we are going to be reacting to the master of barbecue, Franklin himself. And I got the perfect guy here, Jeremy, to judge with me. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Oh, this is gonna be good, everybody. If you guys are not familiar with Franklin Barbecue or Franklin himself,
I've called him Barbecue Jesus before because everybody who's into barbecue knows who he is. And if it wouldn't have been for Franklin being popular, I probably wouldn't be in barbecue today. So we'll see how it stands the test of time.
This is what they call a packer cut brisket. This is what you'll get at the grocery store. Still, this is the flat, this is the point, lean part, fatty part.
That's funny that he says that you get in a grocery store. He's in Texas, everybody. It is almost impossible to find something like that here in Miami. How about you? Where you at?
You can find it sometimes at a grocery store, but if you do, they're almost always select or a really horrible quality.
You put so much love and passion on a brisket, and it's such a long cook. If you're gonna cook it, cook the best one you can find.
And briskets are a lot easier to trim up if they're cold. If you let them warm up too much, if you let it sit out on the counter, then the fat will get real hard to cut through.
You agree with that statement?
100%.
This part right here, this is the decal that goes underneath right in here. So I'm gonna kind of cut this down.
A brisket is so uneven. You do everything you can in trimming to make it as even as possible. So you don't have one part of the brisket that's this thick and another part that's this thick.
This is where the heat's gonna be coming from on the cooker. So you definitely wanna leave plenty of fat there to kind of protect it.
Is he tossing everything?
I think it's going to be repurposed for sausage or to make tallow or something like that. But with the volume of beef that they go through cooking 100+ briskets a day, they're going to have to find purpose for everything that they trim off, because otherwise they're throwing away thousands of dollars every single day.
I agree 100%. We never throw it away because there's always something else to do.
There's a huge layer of fat that goes through there. And if you flip it over, it'll manifest itself right here. And we definitely don't want that. because there's no way that's going to turn out good.
I use that for burgers. I grind that up and it's totally okay to me, at least.
That, we don't want to carve any more into this brisket than that. It's kind of aerodynamic. It's enough where the smoke will come.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that way of trimming.
Okay, so there's this phenomenon in barbecue where if Aaron Franklin said a thing one time, it becomes gospel truth, right? Because he really popularized barbecue for a lot of the people who are in the hobby now, and he said aerodynamic. I think what he means is you don't want small pieces jutting out that are going to burn. You want to reduce the surface area so that it stays as juicy as possible.
The other thing is there's a lot of silver skin on the bottom of this. If I was only doing 1 or 2 briskets, I definitely would trim this. If I was doing a competition, I would also very much trim this.
All the fat on the underside, unless it's really thick, like you could grab it with your hands, I don't even mess with it. Because on offset cookers, there's so much airflow that's going to render out. It's actually going to protect the meat side. I don't even bother with it.
A lot of briskets, if you'll look right here, it's got a huge gash in there. That came from the processing plant where this thing came from.
Don't you hate when that happens?
It's the worst, because a lot of times those gashes you can't see in the package.
It's the worst.
It's so annoying.
This thing's trimmed up. We got about a 1/4 inch of fat all the way across. It's looking good. That's trimmed out. It's shaped real nicely. I think we're ready to put some rub on it. A lot of people have really complex rubs. A lot of people put chili powder, cumin, paprika, all kinds of stuff. The way we roll here in Central Texas, it's half salt and half pepper.
Is that true, Jeremy?
Most places in Central Texas, in my experience, they'll say, oh, we do salt and pepper. You should understand that to mean, oh, we're using a seasoned salt and black pepper. That's how I interpret it, unless I'm told specifically otherwise. And nobody's obligated to give up their secrets.
I agree, 100%. They should guard it completely, and there's nothing wrong of not telling it. But when we taste it, at least me,
It's about their skill and the method that they
100%.
use, and paying attention to those small details that sets them apart from, you know, Joe Blow who's just cooking a brisket for the 3rd time.
You want to keep this thing moving. The granules of the salt are a lot heavier than the pepper, so the salt's going to settle to the bottom. So you want to kind of keep it going.
Do you do that, Jeremy? Do you mix the salt and pepper together? Because I feel like I never get it right and it always sinks to the bottom. So I like to put it individually.
I used to do that, but when you're doing a huge volume, I'm going to have big shaker bottles. I'm going to fill them about 1/3 of the way up with black pepper, 1/3 of the way with salt, and then have room to shake it, season the whole thing. Then on the fat side, I add a little bit of seasoned salt.
A lot of people put a whole lot of rub on a brisket. In my opinion, that it's better to go a little conservative on how much rub. You really want the flavor of the meat to shine through. You know, this is barbecue. You can put a lot of rub on something, cook in the oven, and get whatever flavor you want, but it's salt and pepper. It's super simple. I feel pretty strongly about that.
With barbecue rubs, I think people tend to overdo it, and so what you can get is kind of almost a sandy texture when it's done, and I'm not a fan of that at all. I want the seasoning to be integrated into the bark. It's almost like it sinks into the fat on the top, and then each bite is like this smoky, juicy goodness that you like.
I think the biggest mistake people make across the board is just putting too much rub on this stuff. I don't want it to be cakey, and I don't want it to be overpowering when it's finished. So that right there, in my opinion, is a perfectly rubbed brisket.
One thing I want to say is that if it hadn't been for this video and videos like it, I would have been doing competition style barbecue at home probably forever. What he was doing was showing people how Central Texas barbecue restaurants cook food. And so for that, I'll be forever grateful, because I started trying to mimic this and kind of discovered the style of barbecue that I most like.
I'm 100% with you, because before I cooked my first brisket, I watched this video 1,000 times. Even though it was going to be sous vide.
Cooker's hot, I'm gonna put it on. So I'm putting the brisket on right now. We got a firebox on this side.
How you like that smoker?
He's not using that at the restaurant, but that is an old country Pecos, and I had a similar smoker, but look at the size of that brisket on there. That thing is humongous. It's the size of the smoker, man.
Yeah. There it goes. It goes to tell you, everybody, you don't need something expensive in order to make something great. That's why most of the time I use a Weber.
Knowledge is far more valuable than equipment.
There you go. Couldn't have said any better.
So the fire is gonna come up here, it's gonna go across here, underneath, on top, swirl around, do all kinds of stuff, and go out the smokestack. I'm gonna put a water pan in here. And that's gonna keep a lot of moisture in the cooking chamber. It's gonna help it not burn quite so easily.
First time I smoked a brisket, I also used that. Do you still use that today?
No. So in the configuration that it's in right there, you actually don't want to do it that way, because it forces those hot gases underneath the water pan and you burn the meat side of your brisket. But because it's the meat side, it's the underside, you can't see it. And so it's not until you pull it off to wrap it, you see, oh, the entire bottom is black and burned. No!
no.
Ask me how I know that happens.
We learn from our mistakes, let's just say that.
A good rule of thumb to go by for how long a brisket's gonna cook is generally about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes per pound. For this brisket, I always kind of calculate about 12 hours. If I'm gonna serve it at 5 p.m., I'm gonna start it at 5 o'clock a.m.
If it's gonna take 12 hours to cook, you're gonna wanna start it way before 12 hours because you're gonna wanna let it rest. You're not gonna wanna take a brisket off the smoker at 200 degrees and slice it immediately.
No.
Because all the juice is gonna run out, it's gonna begin to oxidize.
Are you a believer of a longer rest time makes it better or shorter?
100% a longer rest. When I started resting briskets for 8, 12 hours, my briskets improved. And from that point on, long rests are the only way.
Long rest. Is there a limit?
A good rule of thumb, instead of 12 hours before you want to serve it, cook it 24 hours before, and then have 12 hours of cooking, about 12 hours of resting, and you're going to be happy.
Yep, Franklin Barbecue is the god of barbecue. But before moving forward, let me thank today's sponsor, ZBiotics. One of the main reasons I barely drink is because I hate the feeling the very next morning. But ZBiotics is here to help. The first time I tried it, I went to one of those fancy pairing dinners where they pair a different glass of wine with each entree. It was 8 courses. I drank a bottle of ZBiotics before, and I was really impressed how good I felt the next day. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to help you feel better the morning after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. This year, I want to form more sustainable, better drinking and fitness habits. This is not an all or nothing approach. ZBiotics allows me to enjoy nights out in moderation while working towards my goals. Go to zbiotics.com/Guga or scan the QR code on screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use Guga at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Guga and use the code Guga at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get right back to it.
There's a little term people throw around. It's called, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. And that's very much true. If the lid's open, you're losing heat, you're losing smoke. It's gonna take a certain amount of time to recover that heat. And that really gets people in trouble a lot of times when they're getting impatient and meat's not cooking on time, dinner's about to get served, people are showing up to the house and it's just not ready yet. You keep on checking it, you keep on checking it. But the truth is, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Is that true?
It's true, and there's a wrinkle where it is important to take a look to make sure you're not burning anything. But one thing he's saying that's very true is when you open the lid, not only are you not cooking the brisket further, you're actually going backwards. So if you have a lid open for 10 minutes, it takes you 20 minutes just to get back where you were before you opened the lid.
Wow.
So it's very important.
The biggest key to having a good brisket or a good rack of ribs or a good chicken or a good anything you're cooking on a barbecue is fire management. I guarantee that if you keep a good steady temperature, it's gonna cook way faster and more consistently across the board.
If somebody were to be your friend and is gonna cook, which one would you recommend?
I usually recommend pellet cookers for most people.
I agree, it's just so much more convenient. Set it and forget it, babe. Come back later and you're ready, you're good to go.
There's a lot of different ways to retain moisture in a brisket or anything else you're cooking. One way that I really like is to have a water pan in there. I always keep a water pan unless the humidity is really high, and sometimes it gets like that here in Texas. But elsewhere, it may not. Always keep a water pan. Other ways are spritzing, mopping.
Are you a believer of spritzing?
If the cook is going properly the way I want, no need to spritz. But, oh no, it got a little hot, that's starting to get a little crispy, I'm gonna have to spray that exposed meat. You know, I just let it get away from me a little bit. But if the cook is perfect, just let it do its thing.
So to wrap or not to wrap, I really try not to wrap, but sometimes you just have to.
I like to take the bark of my brisket a little crunchier than I actually want it, and then I wrap it up, usually with butcher paper and tallow, and then soften it back up to just the right level.
Yeah, when it becomes crunchy and it's nice, and I always think it's a little bit too crunchy, but then when you wrap it, it becomes soft again.
So you could either burn a really clean fire and not wrap it, you could use butcher paper, or you could use foil. Here in Texas, using foil is called a Texas crutch. I don't like to use it, but it's gonna retain a lot of moisture in there. It's gonna steam itself, and you could really cook a lot faster.
I love it because of that. You can cook it a lot faster, everybody. After you're outside for 6 hours, 8 hours, you go like, God, can we just be done with it? Guilty, right?
We've been there, yeah.
That's why I like it.
Also, the time that you decide to wrap is going to have a lot to do with how your fire's burning. A lot of times I won't wrap at all. I could finish off a whole brisket in 12, 13 hours and not wrap it once until it's finished. But This one, for this episode, we're gonna wrap it. It's looking just about right.
Couple things. First of all, I don't think that's the same brisket. I would bet a lot of money that that brisket has been swapped out. I think that brisket that went on was humongous. This one is small.
It's not the same brisket, Jeremy. It's not the same brisket.
I don't think so.
Normally what I do, I put my paper like that, kind of wrap it up, cup that around the point, put that paper folded along the, whatever the actual angle of the flat is. Roll it over once, tighten it up, roll over a second time.
Are you a believer that tighter is better?
Yeah, I think if you wrap it loosely, you have a lot of exposed surface area, and that paper wicks out moisture like a candle wick, pulls it out, and then you have a lot of evaporative cooling, and it slows down the cook process.
Hasn't been wrapped a real long time. I kind of flop it down. Yes, you may wonder, this brisket would be really hot, and it's true. I don't really have any nerve endings in my hands anymore.
One thing that is true is like the real OG Texas pit masters, they check for doneness by feeling the meat side of the brisket. So Joe checks briskets that way. I'm like, I don't know what kind of witchcraft that is. Give me a thermometer and I'm gonna be poking and prying.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I can tell. And then you know how they say like medium rare?
Rare's here, opposite the palm, at the top. Medium is there, and well done is at the top of your wrist.
That doesn't work for me either.
We're gonna let it rest for about an hour, or at least until it's cool enough where you can get your hand under there comfortably and it doesn't burn too badly. I like to cut it, and I kind of hold it, and you never want to scrape off the fat or the bark. We work really, really hard to render fat, and we work really, really hard to keep a good bark, and I don't want to cut it off. It's the best part. And this, when you're cutting these, it's the end cut, but you can always tell that's what a brisket should look like. Should have a smoke ring like that.
What you see there and those muscle fibers separating, it's a little over. It happens. We've all done it. We've all been there. But I remember seeing this and thinking, oh, that's the pinnacle of food. What I wouldn't give to have a bite of that brisket.
You see? We've learned a lot through the years, huh?
So that's a really good looking slice. It should look moist too. It shouldn't be tough. When you're looking for a brisket, it shouldn't fall under its own weight, but you should be able to pull it delicately.
I remember watching that and I was like, man, that's the Bible, you know?
Yeah, because before I got into barbecue, I'd never had any meat that did that, of any kind.
Right.
And so I thought, oh, if someday, if I can do that once, I will have arrived.
Keeping it all held together so it'll stay moist and won't oxidize on the edge of the slices. This is the fatty half, the point. You're gonna turn it 90 degrees. And I'm gonna cut right down the middle. And this...
No. Don't do that. Start at one end of the point and move over to the other end, and you'll have even slices. Your life will be so much easier.
Pro tip.
And in a perfect world, if you wanted to get crazy, you could do burn-ins. And this is where the burn-ins would come from, right there.
If you had to choose, which piece would you eat?
The piece he's got in his left hand right now. I was looking at him like, I want to get some of that.
I want to eat that one, not the slice. Forget the slice.
I'm not hungry, but my mouth is watering looking at that right now.
This is the best part of the whole cow, right here.
I disagree. Not the whole cow, maybe the brisket.
Okay, what's the best part of the cow?
Picanha, 100%. If you put a brisket next to me and you put a picanha, come on, Jeremy, which one is better?
Don't take the brisket.
Oh.
I think it's time to eat. Getting really, really hungry. It's been a while. Give me a couple little burn-ins in there. Yar.
I've been to his restaurant, and at the restaurant, it looks 10 times better than that, and it is phenomenal, everybody. What do you think, Jeremy?
When I've been there, everything looks glistening and juicy, and it just makes you think like this is going to be the juiciest, most tender meat you've ever eaten, and it looks dark. The bark is basically black. And for me, my idea in my head of what a brisket should be is the brisket at Franklin Barbecue, because I had it and it was the best I'd ever had.
I agree. That's why he's the king of barbecue. Is that a fair statement?
I think so.
Yeah. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys go check out Jeremy. Everything will be on the link on the description down below. Let us know if you guys agree with us or disagree. I'm sure some people will disagree.
For sure.
Go some barbecue, everybody. Go have some. It's pretty good.
Agreed.
See you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. On today's video, we are reacting to the most popular chef in the world, Gordon Ramsay. Now, there is one thing that I love almost as much as steaks. That would be burgers. I cannot wait to see what he does with his. With all that being said, enough talking. Let's begin.
Right, welcome home. I'm going to show you how to make the most amazing burger. And for me, the secret of burger is in the blend. So we've got chuck, we've got the most amazing ground beef, a little bit of brisket.
I am in 100% agreement of that. If you make your own blend for your burgers, it's gonna be so much better, everybody, instead of buying it directly from the grocery store. Now, obviously for convenience, you can go ahead and purchase it from it, but if you wanna have the best possible burger, making your own blend and grinding everything yourself, you have full control of everything. And most important, it will allow you to eat that burger medium rare. Because if you buy it from the grocery store, you have no idea where it comes from and you wanna cook it well done.
Try and get this done the day before. You get this done the day before, set them in the fridge so they stay nice and firm. That way they don't fall apart on the grill.
That's a great tip, making them a day before, that way they're nice and firm and they don't completely fall apart. Gordon has a master chef named Elliot, and he has a very unique technique, which is putting ice inside of a burger. And I'll tell you one thing, when you do that, it becomes so soft, the burger barely keeps it together. So putting it on the refrigerator first, keeping it nice and compact, great tip.
Grill, piping hot. A little touch of oil on the burger to start off with. This is a beautiful grapeseed oil. Make sure it's seasoned. Also, roll the seasoning around the edge of the burger.
Now, I want you to notice one thing that he just said. You want the grill piping hot. 99% of people make a huge mistake whenever they're cooking on a gas grill. And this is the reason why. They turn on every single burner to put the grill super hot. When you do that, you have no control of the grill. And this is the biggest mistake. Never have one zone, which is a hot zone and nothing else. You must always cook it with two zones. You have one that is extremely hot and one that is your safety net. Never turn on every single burner on hot.
Once you put a burger on the grill, the secret is to move it as less as possible. The more you move it, the more chance you've got of breaking the burger.
That is such a great tip. He's absolutely right. Don't want to move it immediately right away because the burger will completely fall apart. And yes, you want to start with the hottest part of the grill so that you can get that sear nice and quick.
Alongside my burger, I'm going to be toasting the buns. Why do we toast the buns? We toast the bun because there's nothing worse than the soggy bun. How many times you had a burger and the bun is wet?
Oh, he's so right. That's so nasty, everybody. You want a nice bun that it's crispy on the top. And I highly recommend using a little bit of butter to toast it. Toast your buns, very important.
Quick, in, toast those buns. What goes well with a burger? Great cheese, tomato, lettuce, a little bit of mustard mayonnaise, and then these beauties here, grilled onions. Peel the onion, slice them.
Damn, that's a thick onion.
Lightly season them, salt, pepper.
Wow, I love how he
onions
seasons
on a
everything.
burger.
I've never seasoned my onions, everybody.
I'm a firm believer in toasting both sides of my bun, top and bottom.
You got a little bit of flare-ups over there, everybody. Flare-ups is actually okay. A lot of people think that it's not okay. It produces an incredible flavor. What that is just basically fat going down to the bottom on the heat source and creating flames and flavor, perfume, and deliciousness. It is fantastic for a steak and also incredible on a burger.
Now, look at that bun. Beautiful. Turn these beauties over. Wow.
That looks amazing, Chef Gordon. That looks incredible. I'm just gonna say that right now.
A busy grill is a delicious grill.
I agree 100%. A busy grill is a delicious grill.
You don't cook the burger and then set it up for dressing. You get set up first. So while the burger's cooking, you get everything done first. It's a really important tip. Why? It stops the burger going cold, and also you want to eat it when it's piping hot.
100% agree. Have all your mise en place done either before or as it's happening, everybody.
Now, at my burger restaurants in Las Vegas, we baste the burgers with Devonshire butter.
That is an amazing tip. I do that as well, everybody. Basting your patties with thyme, butter, and garlic is absolutely delicious. It literally reminds you of eating a steak when you're tasting the burger. It's incredible.
Today, we're just going to lightly brush a bit of butter onto the burgers. With that flame underneath, it sort of caramelizes the butter.
Yes! He said it. Most people don't say that. What that happens is whenever you're basting, what you want is the caramelization of the butter. You want the milk solids to stick to the burger. It just produces an incredible flavor. That's what you want.
Now, if you want to become even more...
Oh my God, that looks so good.
Make a red wine butter, a chipotle butter. This is the basic
Yes.
Amazing recipe for a great burger.
That is looking amazing, but before moving forward, let's go ahead and talk about today's sponsor, Air Up. With the holidays right around the corner, Air Up is the perfect holiday gift. Why, you might ask? Well, let me explain. Air Up is a brand new hydration system that flavors water through scent with a unique system they call scent-based taste. How it works is simple. Pop on a flavor pod, lift the pod to activate it, and just drink. What you will taste is delicious flavored water because that's what your brain thinks you're drinking. I know it sounds crazy, but it actually works. Personally, I struggle to drink enough water throughout the day. Normal water gets boring, but with Air Up, I find myself enjoying drinking tasty water and staying hydrated. And maybe you have loved ones that might feel the same way. So why not give them a gift with taste? Check them out on the link below and save up to 30% off with Air Up's holiday bundles. Start your holiday shopping early, only for a limited time. Thanks Air Up for sponsoring this video, but now back to the burgers.
Look at the color of those burgers. Notice how there's no shrinkage there because we've got the right amount of fat in there.
I did not know that, everybody, because if you have the right amount of fat, it doesn't shrink. I don't think that's actually true because I cook a lot of burgers and a lot of times I use it to be smashed though, and then it kind of shrinks, but that's an interesting take. I did not know that. I just learned something new.
Now, before they come off the grill, lightly season them on the grill. Look.
He seasoned those burgers twice. I love that. If you want to have a nice, incredible steak and a nice, incredible burger, season them properly, everybody. Most people lose this step, and it's so crucial for something tasty.
30 seconds before those burgers come off, I'm going to put my nice, beautiful, rich cheddar cheese on top.
Cheddar cheese, nice.
On. Let's go there. Cheese on, on, on. Remember, we season underneath that, so the flavor inside is going to be incredible. First off, a little touch of mayonnaise.
This ingredient is extra controversial. Do you enjoy mayo or no, everybody? Put it in the comments down below because I love mayo.
From there, take your lettuce and just lightly snap the lettuce. Break that in half and sort of manipulate the lettuce where it sits, literally, on your bun.
That way it's not going to get soggy. I agree.
From there, a nice slice of tomato.
He seasoned everything. He's not going to season the vegetables? I'm surprised.
Salt and pepper on that tomato. Lightly season it. Beautifully done. And look, here's where it goes up a level. Look at that cheese. That, come on, seriously? Beautiful. On she goes. How do we elevate it even more? How do we take that to another level? Look at these. Come on, seriously. I mean, freshly grilled onions.
Oh.
To absolutely die for.
Oh, can you take a look at these little crispy onions, edges, a little char? Oh my God, I will eat that crap out of that. That looks amazing. Wow, I'm very impressed.
Be generous with those onions. There. I'm not a big fan of raw onion on a burger.
Yes, me neither. I don't like the taste of just straight up raw onions. If I do need to use it like in tacos or anything like that, I even give a light rinse, everybody, to take out that onion bitterness.
Look at this. Slice, 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 slice.
Let's see.
Down.
Is it raw in the middle? Is it raw? Come on, chef.
Take half of one. And then look.
Perfectly cooked. I mean, I have nothing bad to say except one thing. Stop roasting me, Chef Gordon Ramsay. Why do you keep roasting me every time? I have so much respect for you, but I would love to cook you a peanut butter steak, or maybe a Nutella steak, or the one that you love the most, mac and cheese steak. That one was really delicious. Remember what you said?
Oh, look at that. Looks like my granddad's slipper.
I learned a lot from this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. On today's video, we are talking about steaks. That is one thing I know quite well. And Chef Gordon Ramsay has a guide to buying the perfect steak. In filet mignon for a steak sandwich, you know, filet mignon doesn't have a lot of marbling, it doesn't have a lot of richness, but there are other things you can do to bring richness to the steak sandwich. I'm curious to see what Chef Gordon is going to do it, because if there's one thing this steak is good for, incredible steak that comes from the rump is picanha. However, since it's also known as the cap sirloin, that one is also very tender. That's why it is my favorite cut of steak. It's as tender as a filet mignon, but it also has a good amount of fat. Delicious. Beautiful. You can always cut the fat out after it's cooked. You need oil to cook the steak properly. You can't just cook it with nothing. So why not use what's already there, everybody? Cook with the fat and then later choose to eat the amount of fat you want to eat. I want you to notice one thing on this video here real quick. Pay attention to this cut, everybody. You see how the fat is quite yellow? That's a sign of an animal that has been grain fed for a while. In Europe, it's quite common to see this kind of fat. Here in the United States, we do what's called a grain finish. Grain finished is the way to go for me. It tastes a lot better, everybody. The fat is softer, it's more delicious. Guess what Japanese Wagyu A5 is fed on? Exactly, grain. Oh, actually, they're also feed in some other weird stuff. Check it out. So this is the feed that they give to the Wagyu cow, and it's the byproduct of mirin. And I've just learned it's good for human consumption as well. Olive oil to sear the steak. That's not my favorite, let's just say it, okay? For a few reasons. Olive oil has a strong flavor, okay? Whenever you use it, you're also adding that flavor to the steak. I much rather sear the steak with a very high temperature oil, such as grapeseed oil, avocado oil, and they're also neutral in flavor. If you do love the flavor of olive oil on a steak, add it towards the end the way the Italians do it. He's adding the vinegar for acidity in there on the steak sandwich. It's gonna be a perfect combination. You have the fattiness of the filet mignon. Hopefully he's gonna add some type of mayo sauce or something like that, and then this will bring the richness down, balancing everything.
Sprinkle that basil in there.
That looks great. Show me the meat.
There she is.
You see the crust, everybody? I mean, maybe just me. I prefer a much more pronounced crust.
From the center, so it's...
See the little pieces of black pepper on the top over there? I can guarantee you it's still gonna be slightly hard and it's gonna give some crunchiness when you're eating the sandwich. That's why I like my black pepper so much more finely ground. A lot of people might think that you're gonna burn it if it's super fine. It doesn't burn, everybody, because the juices of the steak will prevent from that happening.
So
I disagree with that. A Chateaubriand cooks a lot faster. It looks like he's seared it for 4 or 5 minutes and then he finished it off in the oven for another 8 minutes. That's about 13 minutes to 15 minutes. If you leave it resting for that long, it's going to be cold. I would leave it for the maximum 10 minutes, nothing more than that. But regardless, do let it rest for at least a little bit. Did you see? He seasoned his bread. Damn, I don't do that. I'm going to start doing that now.
Pan, nice and hot. Bread in, push it down.
I hate these pans that give you grill marks, everybody, because in the end it's just burnt. Much rather a nice golden brown color on your bread. It's not my favorite thing to do, but let's see.
And look at this here. It is stunning.
See how much juices there still is on the pan? No matter what, you're gonna lose it whenever you cook something medium rare. So why wait 15 minutes to cut the steak? 10 minutes is good enough.
Slice it gently.
Looks very nice. That's why he's the boss, everybody. It looks absolutely delicious, but it could use a better crust. Very nice. There's only one problem with this sandwich. It looks so small, everybody. I could eat 20 of those.
That's what I call a steak sandwich.
That looks amazing, everybody. Besides from getting a nice, beautiful crust and basting a lot more with butter, those are the only 2 things I would have done it differently. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe. Remember, everything I use is always in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.